What is good, guys? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's happening with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm also going to break down what's happening with the economic calendar moving forward, what's going on with earnings that just came out, and some big news involving Tesla. But before I begin the doubles information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100, you're guaranteed 7 free stocks. The offer ends very soon in just about 2 weeks. Anyways, for Tesla's thing is attempting to gap up right here, fighting this resistance at this 170 area. If we do break this, we could see an attempt to go a little higher on Tesla, but just be careful because despite that, the overall trend is still on the downside for Tesla. So we will see if we get a temporary bounce or not, and I'll break down more details about this in just a minute. So for more data, don't forget that today is a Monday, May 13th, 2024. At 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have Jefferson and Mester from the Fed giving their speeches, so look for volatility at that time. Then we also have at 11 o'clock a.m. consumer inflationary expectations. At 11:30, we have the 3-month and 6-month bill auctions coming out. There's not really a whole lot of data, but as we approach the second hour of market open, that's when we might see some volatility. Besides that, earnings are very, very minor as well. We have Legend, Biotech, and a few more. And that's pretty much it, at least in terms of everything else. For Tuesday, we have like more retail coming out, not to mention as we approach Thursday. But that's what I'm seeing, at least for the time being. Legend Biotech stock was up over 9% on narrower than expected losses. And there's also revenue that more than doubled. So pretty good report, at least from them. That's why the share price is up quite a bit. More information about the markets. The Dow Jones had its best week of 2024 so far, still trying to push. The S&P 500 and NASDAQ are also trying to push higher. They're at some tough resistance levels, but for now, they're still holding up. So we'll see how other factors such as Jerome Powell's speech and CPI end up affecting us. Moving forward, we have quite a bit of earnings coming out. SoftBank's Vision Fund also posted its first annual gain in 3 years, which is not bad whatsoever. Nice growth from them. And that's what I'm seeing, at least in terms of headlines for the time being. So for Tesla now, Tesla's launched a limited time 0.99% APR loan rate on the US Model Y orders. I talked about this in more details yesterday, but I just want to call this out that this is actually a big improvement and this could incentivize more growth, if anything. There's been a lot of talk about how the suppliers for Tesla's superchargers, they're actually in limbo right now. This happened after Elon Musk fired the entire supercharger team. Yes, that is what you'd expect, at least for the time being. But do not forget that Elon Musk also announced that Tesla is going to be investing over $500 million into the supercharger expansion, and it's going to be for this year. So they're still heavily invested into this. They're still going to continue to grow in this market because they have to, as there's a lot of different companies trying to use the same network. So that's still, once again, something worth noting. Things could be limbo for quite some time until we get another update. So we'll have to give this a little bit more time. And we'll see what happens with Tesla's investments. They're still investing more money. They're still getting things ready. So give it some time. There's been a lot of talk about the Big Short prototype, Danny Moses. He's still very bearish on Tesla, saying $50 might be a reasonable target based off his fundamental analysis. Now, one of the things is that I have to say is that the market's very forward-looking, so you have to be very careful when you have like targets like that, because Tesla never even lost $100, and never lost $150, at least for now. So it doesn't make really a whole lot of sense for us to be talking about that quite yet until we truly get the breaks. So I would be very careful with these bearish sentiments and a lot of these claims. A lot of people like to get attention, and there's no guarantee it's going to drop that low. So just be very, very careful when it comes to like articles like that. All right. So anyways, when it comes to Tesla, I just want to say that right now we have resistance at this 170 area. If we do break this, look for 172, followed by 173.25, which is going to be where our EMAs happen to be. For support, if we get a rejection, you're going to be looking at basically 168 to 167.5. If we lose this, we're going to be dipping all the way down to 165. In my personal opinion, as we're trying to hold this support, I think that there's a very, very good chance it might try to rebound a bit and make our way up towards 172. So I think that Tesla has potential to go a little higher, but we'll have to watch resistance just to see how it ends up reacting. So we'll be watching to see how things end up going. I think that there is potential for Tesla to try to push higher, but we have to watch to see if it breaks resistance for us to get all the way up there. For a couple more tickers, we also have SPY right over here. SPY is continuing to push. So SPY, it came down a little bit on Friday. Instead of turning to hit 518, this thing's actually back to bullish again. So this suggests that we're going to go higher, most likely try to break this high. If that's the case, look for 523 as our resistance. If it breaks through that, we could go all the way up and get very close to 525. Even though SPY is pushing for now and it could pump higher, Once again, I do want to warn you to be careful at these resistance levels. The VIX is also at a low level, so we could be approaching all-time highs on SPY if we do break the high from Friday. So just be very, very mindful of that. Know that the market is still getting bought up despite volume declining. So give it some time. Do I think the market will turn? I do believe it will turn later. I just don't think we're ready yet. So we have to give this a bit more time, even longer than what many of us were expecting. Despite the fact that the VIX is starting to bounce a little bit right here, the thing is we have a gap to fill in the VIX below. So if the VIX comes back down to fill this gap, it could shuffle in this 12.5 area for a week, right? That's happened before. So sometimes it could shuffle for a bit in this area, but eventually, the VIX is going to get a big bounce, and that's going to be followed by the market potentially getting a rejection. So we're not there yet. The VIX is still here. It has a gap to fill now, so it might shuffle into 12s for some time. But until then, the market remains bullish and it could be attempting to get to all-time highs. All right. If we end up losing 521.5, then look for 520. But right now, it looks like SPY wants to push higher. Same thing with the QQQ. We're not ready yet. Watch 444's resistance on the QQQ. If we lose that, don't forget there's a gap to fill below at 442. If that fills us, watch 440, followed by 437. I personally favor that's going to try to break through, make our way all the way up towards this high at 445.6, and eventually 447 is going to be coming next. So I see more potential upside for the QQQ. I think that the QQQ could push higher. If we end up getting a rejection off 444, we could be tipping down to fill this gap. But I think that the QQQ could push higher, so give it some time. And I do favor that at least a bit more. For Nvda basically has resistance at 908. We have support all the way down at 900. In my personal opinion, I think that Nvidia could push higher from here. If we break this resistance, we could keep going towards 920. For now, it could try to push a little bit higher. We're actually still reversing in the opposite direction. So I think there might be an attempt for it to go higher first before we get our move down. So look and see if it could break 908. If that breaks, look for 920. And then for Aapl, we're just trading kind of flat. We are attempting to go a little higher. Look at 185.5 as our resistance. If that breaks, I wouldn't be surprised if we go up to 186.5, then 188. If you reject off here, look at support at 184, followed by this gap fill down here. I do favor this trying to push higher, at least nonetheless. But with that being said, guys, I think I'm going to essentially end the video very soon from here. I just want to say that the market could be absolutely wild sometimes. The market is back to bullish for now, but don't forget we have Jerome Powell giving a speech tomorrow and PPI data, and we also have CPI coming out, so we'll see how that ends up affecting us. As of right now, the market's holding up, so give it some time and we'll see how things go. But with that being said, I just want to say I really appreciate every single one of you, and thank you for watching my videos. I like to be unbiased the majority of the time, but I also tell you about what I think could play out. But for now, the market's not ready for the rejection yet. We have to give it a bit more time. For now, we're trying to push, so give the market the time it needs, and we'll see how things go. All right, so thank you for listening. The market could go higher, at least for the time being, and we'll see what happens after that as we have critical tests coming. All right, so for Tesla, watch that 170 resistance. If we break this, we're going to be looking for 172, eventually 173.25, then this white trend line resistance. It might attempt to push a little bit higher for now. All right, anyways, I'll see you guys soon in a few hours. Thank you for listening again, and peace out.